all in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act. This meeting was contained in a list of meetings set by resolution dated January 1, 2016. This meeting will not substantially go past 10:30 p.m. Roll call, please, Anna.
Mr. DeQuilla?
Here.
Mr. D'Elia?
Here.
Mr. Fasher?
Here.
Mrs. Kingsley?
Here.
Mr. Pastore?
Here.
Mr. Perrell?
Here.
Mayor Woodruff?
Here. All please rise. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, conference session. Eddie?
Nothing.
Michael?
Yeah, nothing for conference.
Mark?
Yes, a couple things, Mayor. Just an affordable housing update.
Wow.
So, last meeting, we approved the settlement with Fair Share Housing Center, and this is by way of further update. The court set a fairness hearing date of October 17th, and what that is the court, and I suppose members of the public could weigh in on the settlement, and ultimately the court needs to approve it, as well as the special masters that are handling our cases. And again, that's October 17th. In advance of that, the court did something that was pretty unique. They not only want the fairness hearing on our settlement, but to quote my favorite movie, they want to settle all family business as well. And that means with each of the developers, they also want the settlement agreements for each property approved at that hearing as well. And so we're in the process of working on those, and you'll recall there were three interveners, those being Locust, Kings, and the movie theater. In addition to that, Connell has put forth a proposal for dealing with their property and the residential units and affordable units there. And what the court would like to see, and again, this is somewhat atypical, all of those settlement agreements done at the same time the fairness hearing's done. Now, what does that mean, and why am I bringing this up? It's important because we're still working on those agreements. Tonight is our meeting on the 4th. Our next meeting is the 18th, and obviously that's after the fairness hearing. So what we're going to have to do is likely schedule a special meeting probably for next week sometime. So I didn't want that to come as a surprise to the public. When we notice that meeting, it's because it's a court-imposed deadline. We can't get the court to relax it. And so this special meeting will be to deal with the settlements of each of those individual properties. So don't be surprised when you see that. Again, it's all being driven by the court. After that, assuming that our settlement is approved by the court at that fairness hearing, thereafter we need to move forward with our fair share housing plan and housing element. And that will result in a series of meetings between the council and the planning board. And once that happens, you'll see a series of activities on each of the individual projects. So again, that's where we are. Hopefully it gets approved on the 17th. And when we get these final settlement agreements with each of the respective properties, we will schedule that special hearing for next week. And then that'll all get wrapped up in a nice bow and sent to the court for their consideration. So that's what I have to report on affordable housing, Mayor. There was one other thing. We got a piece of correspondence on 343 Snyder Avenue, Hogland, I think it was, John, on the environmental there. They gave us basically correspondence asking us if we had any comments to what they're doing. I would just suggest that we have our engineer look at that before the comment period lapses, and if we have any, we should address them then. Thank you.
Mark, just one question. I'm assuming that on the court date, with the developers being a part of that process, that if the court gives the imprimatur, then they are locked in, correct? Meaning the developers, that's it.
Yeah, that's it. It locks them in. That becomes the framework for the development of our plan, which then would happen, I guess, Joe, within the next 3 to 6 months.
Yes.
Where we develop that housing plan and the housing element, and then that goes back and forth between the council and the planning board pursuant to a pretty prescriptive process, but that's really what happens. And then you move forward with each of the projects that we've been talking about, which would be, more akin to a site plan process. The other thing I mentioned, Mayor, and I should have in my initial remarks, probably 2 months ago, we talked about Part 19, and that dealt with the design standards downtown. And we talked about them, the importance of having design standards, so in the absence of them, there's nothing that constrains the developer to follow a particular design. We've had some meetings with the developers, and that Part 19 has been very important in, kind of pigeonholing what the developers can do, having some uniformity. So I know there was significant back and forth with the public on why we would do that, why now, why does it look this way or that way. This is why. It's because when the developers come in, it was very helpful to us to say, here's our design standard, this is what we want you to follow, so it's not just a blank slate.
Understood. Thank you, Mark.
No, just another follow-up question. Now, what next steps for the developers? So we have the agreement, everything is all agreed, and now they have to go through a normal planning board review and all that, and the next steps for the construction, or
Yeah,
different?
Each property is different, Mike. It's going to depend on which one, but a lot of it involves redevelopment studies, because that was part of it. Some of them will involve pilot agreements, but it's a back and forth, like I said, a lot between the planning board, between us, our planner. A lot of that, and most of it, will be paid for by the respective developers, but it's different for each one. And again, that's why we wanted tight memoranda of understanding and then individual settlement agreements, because the more detail that are in each of those documents, the less that there's, subject to change and argument. Obviously, we're dealing with developers, there'll be some of that, but the more detailed these agreements, the better off we are as we move forward with each individual one.
And timetables, not holding anything, of course, anything's possible as we're going forward. A year from now, shovels in the grounds, possibly?
Yeah, I don't know that there's going to be a shovel in the ground a year from now on any individual one, and I don't know who's going to move quickly or slowly. From a market absorption perspective, you'd hope they're somewhat staggered, although they're pretty dissimilar projects, many of them. But it'll follow the course, and we're going to have to deal with it. But again, the result of this is going to be a pretty prescriptive set of requirements and standards by the court and that plan that's ultimately approved. So this is why, over the past 18 months, we've been doing this, because if we just got caught flat-footed with it now, you'd never get the agreements done. They're going to be lacking in detail, and there's going to be a lot of wiggle room and fighting. Hopefully, we've reduced that. Probably haven't eliminated it, but the goal is reduce it to the maximum extent we can.
Thanks.
Any other comments or questions on the affordable housing issue? Mr. Crone, anything for conference session?
No, Mayor.
Mr. Pastor?
Nothing, Mayor.
Ms. Kingsley?
Nothing.
Okay. Regular agenda, Township Council reports. Mr. DeQuilla?
I thought we... Pool reports. The only thing, the only report I have is, again, keep a mindful watch on the alerts for Hurricane Matthew heading up this way. So again, always good to double check your emergency preparedness kits. If you have generators, make sure they work. Double check even your house generators if you haven't had them serviced lately. Again, it's potential for a big storm. No idea yet if it's going to come towards New Jersey, but of course, tracks are putting it towards us. So again, just a heads up on that, and again, be prepared.
Okay. Before I move on, one of the issues in the conference session was going to be the Berkeley Heights Community Pool budget presentation. I understand Ms. D'Annunzio is here, and I'd ask her to come forward, if you would, please. Hello. That's it. There you go. Okay.
Okay, so I think you all have a copy of the year-end financial summary. Yep. And also the insurance, but if you have any questions, let me know. So I think typically you, and in the lease, I think it asks for the budget numbers, but I also included the actuals. For 2015 actuals, and it's self-explanatory, I think, 2016 budget, and the actuals for 2016, and then a 2017 budget. I also included the number of BHCP members, residents and non-residents, and that's just for 2016. That's the under 18 between 19 and 61, and then 62 and over. Again, self-explanatory. Capital reserves, nothing there. We did just a very preliminary high, medium, low priority list of some deferred maintenance and capital improvements, just a list of projects really. And the initial estimate is almost $250,000. And we have one outstanding loan that's a fixed year rate, 7 years.
Just on that loan, that's not secured by the property. This is simply a loan as to the pool?
That's right. That's just, and it really doesn't even have collateral, although I think the equipment and the pumps and everything is collateral, but they don't really, it's more of a community-based loan that investors would do to enter a community and kind of get a footprint.
Right, but just confirming for the public, we have no liability associated with that if
That's
it's
right.
non-recourse.
It's not connected to the land at all, right. That's exactly right.
I mean, how do you explain well, I'll call it a turnaround. For a couple of years, I see a negative, and then I see about a $42,000 a year jump to the positive, which I think it was 14 to the negative and 28 to the positive, which equals 42 in my math. What do you attribute that to?
A couple of things, but I think the two biggest things were financial transparency and then also financial discipline.
Okay, let's go number one first. What do you
Okay.
mean by that?
I don't think we had a real good feel for the financials until this time last year. There wasn't, amongst the board, there wasn't transparency on the numbers, so we didn't really know where we needed to cut costs. We didn't have a good feel for the numbers, and now we do. Once we had so this time last year, we had some issues paying some bills, and so that really brought it to light, and that's where everything sort of, we needed to get a better handle on the financials. And so we did that, and we had incredible financial discipline this year. I think this is our bare minimum to run the pool. I'd say 245, 250, but we really didn't do any improvements. It was just bare bones. We cut the grass, but we didn't fertilize, that type of stuff. There was a few repairs on the perimeter fence, but it was really just, so I think in terms of cutting costs, we couldn't go any lower than this. None of the lifeguards got raises. We did everything we could, because we were looking at a $30,000 shortfall at the beginning of the season. So we spent no money. And happy to report that we're okay now. We can pay our bills to the end of the year.
Good job.
Thank you.
Living within your budget. Okay.
Yes.
And then in 16, you had Paola's handle the kitchen and Summit Y handle the pool.
Yeah, that was another theme, it was really, we've very much felt that we needed to hand this over to the professionals. It costs a lot more for us, we were having to pay vendors to do everything, and we really didn't have the in-house knowledge, and the board members don't have the expertise to run the pool, so we were paying somebody to do everything. It started with the snack bar. Like, we knew that we didn't have any food service experience on the board, and we had struggled for years. And so we finally did an RFP to a lot of local restaurants, and Paolo's called us back. As it turns out, the snack bar fits his business model very well. And so he was very excited and worked out great. Not only did we not lose money, we broke even, which is exactly what we wanted to do, but we didn't have the overhead, and it took a lot of time over the years. We had board members running to Restaurant Depot and, that type of stuff. It's just a very, it's a lot. It's not easy running a food service business. So that helped. And then with the Summit Y, again, that was huge. I mean, we, what I consider the back office, like the things that get neglected often, the filter rooms, the pump room, they're in a state of disrepair. And the Summit Y really helped us in the back office. They did, the chemicals, and they really brought in their expertise from their aquatic group, and it really helped. You'll see our costs came down there, too.
What is your agreement with the Summit Y?
It was just a one summer. They managed it. We paid them to manage the pool, so we paid a manager. And then he was able to leverage the expertise from the Summit Y aquatic team, the maintenance guys, really, the operations, and they all have CPOs over there, the certified pool operators, so a lot more experience.
What's the anticipation for next year, a similar arrangement?
We're still in the discussions. We would obviously love to continue something. It's a lot. It's a lot for the board, for a volunteer board, to do this without having any expertise and knowledge. So, it worked out well this summer, but we need to start thinking about next summer.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Nuzio? No? Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks.
Do I need to pay the $1? Isn't there a $1 lease or something?
That's what this is supposed to give somebody. You have to
I
give
did
it.
that.
You can't take it.
Can't take any cash. There you go. There were a lot of witnesses to that transaction. That's good. Mr. D'Elia, any reports?
Nothing to report.
Mr. Perron?
Nothing to report, Mayor.
Mr. Pastor?
Nothing.
Mr. Fasher?
Nothing to report, Mayor.
Kingsley?
Nothing to report.
Okay. And I have nothing to report.
Good.
So, Mr. Pasicolo, you can take all the time you want.
I appreciate it.
Not
Thank you.
really.
The first thing I would like to bring up is that we got a notice from the county. We were successful in getting a brand-new 15-passenger Seniors in Motion van, which will be delivered in November.
Fantastic.
So, that was a big win. I'd like to also, we got a letter and a check that I would like to read. This came from a Beth Hanstein, and she was very kind to send. She's the mother of 2. Please accept this donation to purchase 2 body-worn cameras for 2 of our police officers. Please let Sergeant Schmidt know you received this. So, Chief, here's a check for you guys, and a letter with it. But that was extremely nice.
She's also the one who bought us the vest.
She bought the vest also. Wow.
Nice, wow.
Very nice. Town council reports. Our construction department, the last 2 weeks, we had 53 applications. We had 80 permits issued. 66 plans were reviewed. We collected fees of $14,180. From our engineering department, our ongoing project at the culvert at Lower Columbia is just about finished. We're just putting in the gabion baskets with the stones, which will stop the erosion of the soil. So that is almost done. Our leaf collection program, I think, as we had stated before, everybody knows, starts on October 24th. Passaic River, we're still waiting for grade construction. I actually spoke to Ralph Diaco 2 days ago. He apologized profusely and said, we're not putting you off, not trying to avoid you. We are going to do it, and he's going to be here. He promised us next week, Bob, but I wouldn't hold my breath. Yeah. We've got some guardrails at Oak Way that are damaged, and we've got a contractor repairing those. Snyder Park, Bob's been working with Tom Barton. We've got some turf that's damaged there, and I think we have to clean that also, don't we, Bob?
Yeah, we're looking into, yeah.
Cleaning it, yeah. Lord Littell Museum, we obtained plans for roof modification, and we're currently obtaining quotes from contractors to do the work. At the fire department, the heating and ventilation, working on plans for that. We anticipate completion of the plans and bid documents by the end of the month. Spring Ridge Road, we're going to try to move that up actually to this year. It was in next year's schedule, but it's in pretty bad shape, and it's a pretty main road there, so we're going to try to move that up into October. Tree removal, we've got several quotes coming in to remove hazardous trees around town. The farm stand that was at Vito's across the street has been removed and taken to the historic site. So that was put indoors so that we could preserve that. From our DPW, the street sweeper, all sections were swept and are complete. It's out of service now until we start leaf collection. It will be equipped with the leaf pusher, which is going to help us move heavy leaves in the roadway, pushing those to one spot and being able to scoop them up. A little bit different on our potholes. I want to give you a little detail. Last 2 weeks, we put 4 tons down on Old Cannon Road, Hillside, and Debbie. 13 tons went into Cornell, 2 tons went into Putnam, 6 tons at Debbie, and 8 tons at Hamilton, 2 tons at Ferndale, and 9 tons were miscellaneous. Total of 44 tons were put down in the last 2 weeks. Inlet repairs, we did 2 at Berkshire, 1 at Rutgers, 1 at Cornell, 1 at Barnstable and Timothy. We're continuing to put up the Welcome to Berkeley Heights signs. The paths, the one by Columbia, has been trimmed. We're trying to get all the vegetation back, so it's free to be able to walk for school days. Garbage detail, we're doing something a little different here also. Aside from checking all the parks and the bathrooms, bathrooms are cleaned 3 days a week, starting October 3rd every Monday and Friday. We'll be emptying the 11 town receptacles that are on Springfield to Peppertown Park. Working with Joe Steiner, we're using some of the Clean Communities money. He was paying someone to remove the garbage. Instead, our DPW guys are going to remove that. School crossing signs, we're just about done. We need a couple more to complete that. They're on order. Peppertown Park, we've elevated some trees. We still need to do some more pruning. We got markouts coming so that we'll be able to start the electrical work at Peppertown Park. Our Gov Deal auction is up and running until October 10th. We had 800 tons of salt were delivered, harboring of winter to come, and we started making our brine so that we're ahead of schedule, ready to go, should we get hit early. From our sewer department, trickling filter rehab, the replacement parts were delivered on the 3rd, and we're anticipating mid-October for completion to get the first one done. Grease trap program is continuing. Our sand filters are on hold, waiting for delivery of the appropriate sealant still. That should be in shortly. Chlorine contact chambers, same thing. We're waiting for that sealant to come in. Everything is in and ready to go. We just need that. The disinfectant process that we talked about, the parasitic acid, we're still on schedule. DEP is still behind us. They wanted some changes done, though, to the way we were going to perform it. That has been sent back to them. We're waiting for approval before we go ahead with that. From our zoning office, we had 15 zoning applications were reviewed. 2 drafts for variance applications were prepared. 11 properties were inspected for tree removal requests. 6 violations were issued for code violations and followed up on some previous violations. Coordinated with JCP&L, DPW for trees that need to be removed over the power lines and the takedown dates. Completed and submitted the greening of Union County grant application, and several sites for new tree plantings and locations to be installed in the fall were also done. I don't know if I had mentioned, because we had talked about, we did the, God, I just went blank. The electric. We had the, I can't think of the name, what I'm trying to think of, the auction. Thank you, Mark. We had the auction for electric. I don't know if I brought this up, but I just wanted to let you know, we actually saved, by going to the auction, our costs have gone down $34,968 per year over the next 2 years. So $68,000 we're going to save by going to auction. You'll see on tonight's agenda, we're going to do the same with gas and see what we get back. We're not obligated to do it if the costs don't go down enough, so we just think it's a wise idea to at least look at it.
Yeah, but John, why don't you explain that? It's actually a reverse auction.
Yes, we sit there and we actually watch 4 or 5 companies actually bid on our electric, and you just watch it go down, and as the time runs out, then you go with the lowest bidder. So it's very interesting to watch how low they will go. So we were very successful on that one. Like I said, we're going to save $68,000. From our recreation department, fall programs are going strong. Tom's been working with the Winter Walk folks to set up the tree lighting in Peppertown. DPW will be digging the trenches soon to run the electric. He's been working with them. Friday night, October 7th, GL's holding its annual Friday Nights Lights football game versus Summit at 7 p.m. And I think that's all that I had at the moment for council report.
Okay, thank you, John.
Thank you.
Mr. Pastor?
I move that the Township Council reports be accepted and approved.
Seconded.
Any discussion? Vote?
Mrs. DePilla?
Yes.
Mrs. DeLeo?
Yes.
Mr. Fasher?
Yes.
Kingsley?
Yes.
Mrs. Pastor?
Yes.
Mr. Perrone?
Yes.
Mr. Fasher?
Actually, Gene, can you do this one? I wasn't at the meeting on the 20th.
Absolutely. Okay. I move the minutes of the public meeting on September 20th, 2016, and the executive session minutes on May 11th, September 15th, October 6th, and October 20th, 2015.
Second?
Motion second, any discussion? Vote?
Mrs. DePilla?
Yes on the public meeting and abstain on the executive sessions?
Mrs. DeLeo?
Yes.
Mr. Fasher?
Abstain on the public meeting, yes on the exec sessions.
Mrs. Kingsley?
Yes.
Mr. Pastor?
Yes on the public meeting, yes on all executive sessions except September 15th.
Mr. Perrone?
Yes.
Okay. Before we go to the hearing on agenda items, I'm only going to go back to an item listed in our conference session, presentation of the town's new township new website. Mr. Sicolo, do we have a little show and tell?
Yes, we do, Mr. Mayor, we do. Back in March, it seemed like the Communications Committee, for whatever reason, we were struggling getting the website off the ground. We volunteered to take it over, and we started that in March. So what I wanted to just kind of give you is just a quick overview of kind of what we did. Our goals, the first thing we established was our goals. We wanted to make sure it was user-friendly, that our residents could find all the info that they would need. We wanted to make sure all our legal requirements were met. Based on the phone calls that we received every day, we got input from residents on what they were looking for. So we put together, and I will show you this, we put together 82 items if I need information about. So if you look at this gives you just a quick, if you're looking for something, there's 82 items here. It gives you the department that's responsible, and a phone number and extension. So we tried to list the common things that we had gotten many, many phone calls on. Now, I'll go back, if I may, to the home page. And our biggest charge was get it done. We started in April, and by September, we had this finished. The process we went through, we put together a steering committee, which was comprised of Barbara Russo, Anna Minkoff, Mike Marceau, and myself. What we did then is we got all the department heads together and we said, what is it that you need on your individual page? They sat down with their employees, came back to us and said, these are the things that we think we need on our page. We then sent it to City Connections. They put it up on the website for us. We went back and reviewed it. We made changes to it to make sure that it looked like we wanted it to. Again, this was with input from every department. We also, if you notice, we listed these hot buttons on the right-hand side. Again, we tried to think of things that we get phone calls on every day. Agenda, license, muni code, online tax payments, just some of the things that we had seen getting common calls on constantly. Meetings are all in the middle. As you see, you can select a view if you want to go by day, month, week, year. You can also go by, we've got some departments, it says, it's not showing me right now, it says DPW, I think it's here, sorry, yeah, Public Works, Recreation, you can go separately or all on that. We then also, what I'd like to show you is that before, our police had their own separate website. We spoke to the chief and they agreed they wanted to come in and be part of this website, so we went ahead and did that. And most of the pictures that you see is, I just want you to know, we ended up taking them. One of us actually went out, so if they're not the prettiest, we're not the greatest photographers. So we did as best we could on those. Our cost on this was $33.50 for the .gov name, set up the hosting account, the new website design, convert all the content from the existing website to the new website. We have an annual hosting fee of $6,100 a year going forward. This is a work in progress. If we're missing something that we need legally, we'll add it. If somebody's got suggestions of something that they'd like to see, we'll certainly listen. We are going to have streaming up and running, we anticipate by the next meeting, and we're also going to put the videos that we are taking, we're going to have those posted hopefully within a month. So that's kind of a quick overview of where we are in that.
Okay, thank you, John. Any comments or inquiries from anyone on the council? Eddie? Michael?
No, I want to say thank you, because as a department going through this now myself, at my place of work of redesigning the website, a lot of work does go into it, and you look at old forms and realize that they're photocopies of a photocopy that was scanned and put on a website to now actually update it. It's a lot of work, so, congratulations to the team and to the departments for taking the time to do it.
Yeah, I want to acknowledge, especially, Mike, myself, and Anna did a lot, but Barbara Russo really did a lot of heavy lifting, because as you said, we had none of these pages, so they all had to be created, and that's really what took us the most time.
Tommy, anything?
Just a question, but let's just say by the December timeframe, will there be a link on this website to view the video of meetings?
Yes.
And how long after a meeting will a link be available?
Next day.
That's perfect.
And our plan is to have one full year of meetings that, if we have a full year, that we've actually taped on the website. So you'll be able to go back hopefully January to December if you want to review any town council meeting that we've taken.
John, are these, the tapes of the meetings are unedited
Yes,
from beginning to end?
yes.
John, just, how do we do the storage of that? Like, who's hosting?
You're asking me.
Okay.
I'm told that all we have to do is that we're going to get a link from City Connections. We just have to send it to them, and if it's YouTube, there's no charge. They'll upload them immediately,
Okay.
and we're fine. Anything further than that, I'll give you a phone number.
Mr. Pastor, anything?
No.
Mr. Fasher, any inquiries or comments?
You mentioned streaming.
Yes, sir.
So we're recording there. It'll be a videotape that you could watch here, or conceivably, it'll still be on GLTV.
We're
The
thinking of doing two. Yes.
Okay, so the
streaming
streaming will be either through that, which I assume you would then need an internet connection to stream it to here,
and- Right.
and then you can
And that
see
is gonna
it, you're
go-
seeing it real time.
That's going to be real time, and I believe, Anna, correct me if I'm wrong, or Barbara, I think we were going to stream that through our Facebook. Am I right?
It's supposed to be a tab on the website.
Okay. So we're not quite there yet. Give us a couple of weeks.
But again, I'm not exactly the most tech-savvy person. So you click, it's
Up and
7
running,
o'clock,
streaming.
7 o'clock on a Tuesday, you can't come here. There'll be an easy-to-find link, you click on it, the meeting starts, you're watching the meeting from home.
Real time.
It should be literally right under the Facebook button, like when it gets up and running.
Yeah, we're going to have it over
it'll be
here.
right
Okay, just
there.
whatever it is, wherever it is,
Yeah.
it'll be easy to see.
Yes.
Here we go.
All right, thanks.
All right. Members of the public, if you'd like to come forward, comment, questions, whatever. Usual procedure.
Hendrik Rainmakers, 180 Timber. The update procedure, how will it work? Because previously everything had to be sent to Charlie. Will you be doing your own updating, or?
We send it actually to City Connections. They will make any changes within 24 hours.
Okay. So,
What about emergency items?
If we have something emergency, they will do it sooner. In fact, we had a couple things today that they actually, we told them we needed it put on immediately, and they did it actually almost while we were waiting on the phone. They've been very responsive.
Okay.
What were those items, John?
One of them was a redevelopment, the other was, I think, Mark's update on COA, Mr. Fasher's update on COA we wanted to get on. We'd missed those.
Okay.
How dare you?
I'm sorry. I know, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings.
Haven't heard enough about affordable housing. Anyone else? Okay, anyone else have any comments up here? Mrs. Kings, I didn't mean to neglect you.
That's okay.
Do you have anything?
I do. I do have a comment. And it's a little prepared, which I'm sorry, but it is prepared just because I'm going to try not to be emotional. So my husband told me I needed to write it down, so I keep my composure.
Okay.
Anyways, I do want to thank these guys because I think this website, what people don't realize is this does take a lot of time. Anybody that's been through any type of conversion and any corporation knows websites are no small feat. And I do want to thank Mr. Pratt for all of his effort at the website that he did design for us and for keeping it up and running for all of those years. At some point, we will. He's taken a lot of criticism, but that website lived a long time, and we owe him a lot. That being said, at 6:30 last night, a letter to the editor was posted on the tab by Stephen Yellen criticizing our new website, stating that the expectations did not match the cost. And as usual, when people rush to judgment, the facts in the article were incorrect. I find this rush to criticize and find fault completely unnecessary, and in fact, it's really quite hurtful. It's the type of behavior that gives Berkeley Heights a bad name. When you attack a committee, Stephen, you're attacking an institution. You're not attacking the institution, you're attacking people. You're actually attacking your neighbors. These people have volunteered their time and their talents to help make our community a better place. If you take issue with the way a committee is addressing a topic, show up, attend a meeting, and address the issue with the committee. It's so easy to sit back on social media and complain about what others are actually doing to make this a better town. It's not productive what you're doing on social media, and it's not nice. The website was built by our administrative department. That consists of 4 people. We don't have an IT department. They didn't have a team of consultants sitting behind them working to build this website. They worked on it in between their normal day jobs. Given that we had redevelopment and COA going on over the past few months, they've been quite busy. They don't have web backgrounds. They did this. They took pride in their work. They did their best to meet the needs of our residents, to develop something that would be easy to use. They are just real people trying to do the right thing. These people live in our town. They deserve our respect, and they deserve to be treated as professionals. Our administrator and his team stepped up. They took responsibility for the website earlier this year, and they made it happen. They did it for a fraction of the cost that we, as a council, have been quoted by every other vendor. They completed the task on time, and they completed it on budget. I'm grateful to them as a team. It's this council's responsibility that it took 3 years to get this website off the ground, not that team and not the communication committee. We fully take responsibility for that. At the end of the day, this website is easy to navigate. It contains the information that our residents need. I'm hopeful that all of you residents find it easy to use. I hope you use it frequently. I hope you will give us the feedback on how to make it even better, and I hope you thank the administrator and the team for all of their hard work.
Another comment, okay.
Yeah, I have a comment.
That's okay.
For starters, it's the mistake of the initial number that Stephen put there is my mistake.
There's more than just the number that's a mistake, he said.
Okay, but just want to make clear that Stephen is not to blame for that. I have the contract, I added up the 4 numbers that were there. Despite what Mr. Pasiclo just mentioned, we prepaid the 6,100, so yes, it cost us $39.50 a year, but the 6,100 was spent as well, okay? I know it covers a year, but it's not correct to say that we didn't spend it yet. But I just wanted to be clear that I am the one who added it up wrong. And when I told Stephen I had the contract, and he asked me how much it was, I told him that particular information. So it's not Stephen who made that mistake.
Okay.
agenda items. Oh, okay,
No, I
coming
don't.
up, I'm sorry.
Still on this issue.
Sorry.
I have been going to Township Council meetings for 9 years. I've lived in this town my entire life, and I have been volunteering in one form or another for almost half of that amount. I do not think, in my recollection, that I have ever been to a meeting of the governing body where a member of that governing body felt it was appropriate to publicly go after me for the crime of offering my opinion. And I would ask to be allowed to finish. This is very difficult for me, considering the respect I have for you, Mrs. Kingsley, for all that you have been doing for our town, to keep my emotions in check. I have always, as you know, and as your colleagues know, never been afraid to offer my opinion, whether or not I agree or disagree with the members of this governing body or your predecessors. Most of the time, I am right. Sometimes I make mistakes, and I own up to them. And if Sandra had not said so, I would have. But I believe that what I wrote was not in any way, as the first paragraph of my letter shows, a criticism of any volunteer. I am a volunteer. There are lots of volunteers in this town who all in their own way are helping out this community. And as someone who previously served on the Communications Committee, I know how difficult it is to try and get things accomplished. But in my view, considering the amount of time from the beginning of this endeavor to its conclusion, in light of certain things that were said, for example, that this website would be mobile-friendly. The website, as accessed by me and by other people, including using a professional Google app for that purpose, was not mobile-friendly, as my letter stated, and I shared the link for anyone who would like to take a look at it. That did not meet, the website did not meet any of the standards that the Google app deemed appropriate to be mobile-friendly. As someone who has given a lot of my time and effort to giving back to this community, I do not think it is appropriate to denigrate any resident because of their opinion, regardless of whether or not one agrees with it. I'm not going to change who I am. I am going to continue to support this governing body when I agree with it, and I will continue to oppose it when I disagree with it. But I will always, as I have always attempted to do, to speak my mind based on the facts as I have them. And if there are mistakes, I own up to them. But there is no reason, considering what you and I have known each other for all these years, Mrs. Kingsley, for you to attack me in this way just a little bit of time before voters may decide whether or not I should be joining you up there. I do not think that is fair. I do not think it is appropriate to use the governing body dais for that purpose. And in all the years I have been here, I have seen certain council members use this dais for that purpose, and I have criticized them too. And I will continue to offer my opinion on these things if I believe them to be right or wrong, whether or not this election goes to my liking. I believe that people in this town have a right to offer their opinion, or indeed to offer a contrasting point of view, without being accused of attacking volunteers or making things up. And I think that, as a whole, this community deserves better than to have that kind of reaction. So as you can see, this is very difficult for me to fully and express what I feel right now, other than being blindsided. And I would like very much for the public to recognize that respect for our volunteers is a two-way street. It goes to the people you like and the people you don't, the people who stand with you and the people who don't. And I think that if we want our town to be a great town, we have to follow that standard. I thank you for your time.
Mr. Yellen, just, Stephen, 1 second, please. You made a comment with respect to politics. Am I not correct? I did read your letter this morning. Did you not make a political comment in that letter?
As a private citizen, I am entitled to make a political comment.
Absolutely you are. I'm not suggesting you aren't. But you made a political comment in that letter. I believe it wrapped the letter up talking about yourself and your running mate. So you did make a political comment in the letter. That's all I'm asking. Are you agreeing you did or didn't?
The That's not the real question.
No, that's the question I'm asking. It may not be the one you want to answer, but it's the one I'm asking.
But it's not the question that I care to answer, because it's not the real one.
Then don't answer it. The public can judge that for itself when they read the letter.
This is a government meeting. It is not a political meeting. And that is why I
Ms.
objected.
Kingsley was responding to a letter that you submitted, and that letter was a, quote, political letter, which you are entitled to do. Ms. Kingsley doesn't lose her First Amendment right sitting up here either. As you don't, you lose yours. I'm just suggesting that was in the letter that you wrote.
And I recognize that.
Okay, fair enough.
Can I say thank you, Stephen, for your comments? Thank you. I think his point is that I will stand behind is that I don't think the council should, under any circumstance, should be attacking residents. And it's happened many times. They've attacked me on multiple occasions, which I don't feel was ever justifiable because of the way I vote. I get attacked by council people. I don't think it's the council's job to attack. Usually the council's job is supposed to be attacked for their comment, for their actions. In this case, I believe that the council on multiple occasions has attacked residents and myself. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Can I go? Tom Forager. I don't want to say anything about this little dispute. I did have a chance to get on the website with my cell phone, and it's an Android, and it seemed to work. I'm not going to claim, like I did any sort of thorough testing, but the stuff that I was looking for was all there, and I think I got a lot of experience with software, and I'm going to call this version 0, and version 0 usually is not quite what you want, and then there'll always be another version to make improvements. But this looks pretty good, and I think considering that they worked on it from April to September, that's not a very long time, and they had other full-time duties. I think it came out very nice. So I'm happy to thank the worker bees, especially John and Anna, that are here, and I'll thank Barbara and
Barbara's
right back there.
That's why I know you didn't know that.
I'm sorry, Barbara too.
And Michael's right there.
And then Michael is, oh yeah, all right. Okay, so all the worker bees are here, and I'm glad they pulled this off. And I think we should all be grateful, actually.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Tom.
So that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Tom Macheski, 40 Rough Place. I also have been critical of, I think, this project since the beginning, and I think we had a while back where we, I asked a bunch of questions, and I think we had difference of opinions, or maybe we wanted to add stuff. But I also want to say that for the price, I think that the site is reasonable, and that the people working on it deserve a thumbs up for it. So I'd like to just say thank you to the worker people as well.
Thank you, Tom.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, let's move on. We've got to go back
Hearing on the
to...
agenda items.
Where am I here? Oh, I know that, yeah. Okay. All right, so the motion on the hearing on agenda items only?
Yes, I move to open the hearing on agenda items only.
Seconded.
Motion second, any discussion? Vote?
Mr. DeQuilla?
Yes.
Mr. D'Elia?
Yes.
Mr. Fascia?
Yes.
Mrs. Kingsley?
Yes.
Mr. Pastor?
Yes.
Mr. Perrell?
Yes.
Okay, hearing on agenda items only is open. Ms. Kingsley will be the official timekeeper.
Hi, Jess Jermansky, 30 Lawrence Drive. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the ordinance that is going to be introduced tonight regarding taping and recording devices.
We pulled that.
We did?
Yeah,
Yes.
it needs a little more cleaning up.
That's, that would have been my comment exactly.
Great minds, thank you.
Gone.
Tom Verger. On Resolution 3, to my recollection, this is actually the first time that we've had a nice presentation from the community pool. And actually,
She left, but you need...
well, maybe she can watch it on the streaming version.
It'll be over by the time she gets home.
It's already streamed by.
Well, then she has to get the time machine that we offer. Yeah, that one. Anyway, I'm glad that I think somebody on this council pushed to actually have a resolution and a presentation, and you know who you are, but I don't know who you are, and I'm glad that we're doing it right. And I enjoyed the presentation. They seem to have gotten a handle on things, and you are too. Thank you.
Tom, I think one of the things that stood out is that Mr. Nunzio readily acknowledged what they didn't know.
Yeah.
Right, and took the steps to find people that did know it.
Yeah.
And the result is what it is.
Yeah.
So that's encouraging. I agree.
Yeah. But I'm glad that she came and talked extensively about what they're doing, because you're the ones that have to approve it.
Yeah.
And have to understand it. So, and she didn't even ask for a receipt. Thank you.
She didn't. Mr. DeQuilla.
Yes, seeing nobody, I move to close the hearing on agenda items only.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion? Vote?
Mr. DeQuilla?
Yes.
Mr. D'Elia?
Yes.
Mr. Fasher?
Yes.
Mrs. Kingsley?
Yes.
Mr. Pastor?
Yes.
Mr. Perrone?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to have a public hearing and final adoption of an ordinance. Anna, please read the ordinance.
An ordinance amending the minimum and maximum rate of salary and compensation of elected and appointed township officials and non-union employees in the various municipal departments of the Township of Berkeley Heights.
Okay. I move to open the public hearing on the ordinance as read by the clerk.
Sure.
Is there a second on that?
Second.
Motion is second, any discussion? Vote?
Mr. DeQuilla?
Yes.
Mr. D'Elia?
Yes.
Mr. Fasher?
Yes.
Mrs. Kingsley?
Yes.
Mr. Pastor?
Yes.
Mr. Perrone?
Yes.
Okay. Is now open. Ms.
Okay.
Kingsley.
Seeing nobody, I move to close the hearing on the ordinance as read by the clerk.
Second.
Okay. Vote?
Mr. DeQuilla?
Yes.
Mr. D'Elia?
Yes.
Mr. Fasher?
Yes.
Mrs. Kingsley?
Yes.
Mr. Pastor?
Yes.
Mr. Perrone?
Yes.
Ms. Kingsley?
Okay, I move that the ordinance as read by the clerk in hearing held hereon be adopted on final passage, and that the clerk be directed to advertise same in the Courier News.
Second.
Any discussion? Vote?
Mr. DeQuilla?
Yes.
Mr. D'Elia?
Yes.
Mr. Fasher?
Yes.
Mrs. Kingsley?
Yes.
Mr. Pastor?
Yes.
Mr. Perrone?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Kingsley. The resolution, Mr. D'Elia.
I move Resolution 1, approving bill list dated October 4th, 2016, in the amount of $440,520.92.
Second.
Any discussion? Vote?
Mr. DeQuilla?
Yes.
Mr. D'Elia?
Yes.
Mr. Fasher?
Yes.
Mrs. Kingsley?
Yes.
Mr. Pastor?
Yes.
Mr. Perrone?
Yes.
Ms. Kingsley.
I move Resolution 2, authorizing the township to sell at a public sale by way of a sealed bid, 1, plenary retail consumption, hotel motel exception, liquor license to be used exclusively in connection with a hotel motel containing at least 100 guest sleeping rooms within the boundaries of the township in accordance with procedures set forth in NJSA 33:1-19.1.
Second.
Motion is second, any discussion?
Can you just explain to the public a little bit about?
As you all know, given the size of our town, we have a limited number of liquor licenses. I believe there are 4. Okay? However, if you get a hotel in your town with more than 100 rooms, the state now affords the town an extra liquor license. We control it, meaning the town controls it. So what we're doing now is putting, and obviously there is one hotel which probably fits this particular resolution, so it's going out, and they will respond to the bid that goes out probably within the next week, correct, John?
I would think so,
Yeah,
yes.
probably within the next week. So that's how that works. The cost, whatever we come to an agreement on, is the town's. All right? So,
But I guess additional background, this is the same license that we put out for bid at $500,000, and there were no bidders.
That's correct. That's
So-
correct. So we're not stupid. So we figured that we probably should reissue it and see if we can get a bidder at a lower number. So that's kind of what we're doing right now, all right? Thank you, Mark.
And it was also smarter to try high first.
Yes, yes, that was our job to do that.
We were trying to get as much as we can, which
Yes, we are.
is only fair.
Okay. Vote?
Mr. DeQuilla?
Yes.
Mr. D'Elia?
Yes.
Mr. Fasher?
Yes.
Ms. Kingsley?
Yes.
Mr. Pastore?
Yes.
Mr. Perrone?
Yes.
Fasher?
I move resolution number 3, approving the Community Pool Corporation's 2017 budget pursuant to the terms of the lease agreement.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion? Vote?
Mr. DeQuilla?
Abstain as I have a family member on the pool board.
Mr. D'Elia?
Yes.
Mr. Fasher?
Yes.
Mrs. Kingsley?
Yes.
Mr. Pastore?
Yes.
Mr. Perrone?
Yes.
Mr. DeQuilla?
Yes, I move resolution number 4, authorizing shared services agreement with the Board of Education for the provision of a police officer to serve as a student resource officer at the high school.
Second.
Second, any discussion?
I just wish it was a little higher, but I'm glad we're getting something
Yeah.
instead of nothing. But up to this point, we've never gotten a penny for this,
That's
right?
correct.
We're getting 25,000.
We're getting 25,000. Eddie?
Thank you, Chief.
Vote?
Mr. DeQuilla?
Yes.
Mr. D'Elia?
Yes.
Mr. Fasher?
Yes.
Mrs. Kingsley?
Yes.
Mr. Pastore?
Yes.
Mr. Perrone?
Yes.
Brown?
Move resolution number 5, authorizing the township to utilize an online auction service of VMX, an approved vendor located at energymarketexchange.com. I will note that exchange is spelt wrong, and it should be corrected.
Subject to the correction.
Second.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Vote?
Mr. DeQuilla?
Yes.
Mr. D'Elia?
Yes.
Mr. Fasher?
Yes.
Mrs. Kingsley?
Yes.
Mr. Pastore?
Yes.
Mr. Perrone?
Yes.
Sure.
I move consent agenda items A through E.
Seconded.
Motion second, any discussion? Vote?
Mr. DeQuilla?
Yes.
Mr. D'Elia?
Yes.
Mr. Fasher?
Yes.
Mrs. Kingsley?
Yes.
Mr. Pastore?
Yes.
Mr. Perrone?
Yes.
Mr. Perrone?
Move to open the citizens' hearing.
Second. Motion second, any discussion? Vote?
Mr. DeQuilla?
Yes.
Mr. D'Elia?
Yes.
Mr. Fasher?
Yes.
Mrs. Kingsley?
Yes.
Mr. Pastore?
Yes.
Mr. Perrone?
Yes.
Citizens' hearing is now open. Ms. Kingsley, all the time.
Hi, Hendrik Rainmakers. I have one question. Township Council correspondence, I wasn't sure if that was part of agenda items or not. But could you elaborate on what the correspondence from Peak Environmental was on 100 Locust?
From what?
Peak sorry. Could you please tell me what the correspondence was from Peak Environmental on 100 Locust?
I don't know, John, if you remember, but
I don't remember.
I believe what it was, and if I'm wrong, I'll look at it again. But I think it was an RAO, meaning a remedial action outcome, which is an approval of an underground tank pull, I think is what that letter related to.
Okay, because I spoke to them one time, they told me they were testing for pollution, so I was just wondering if it...
Yeah, I believe it was a letter relating to an underground tank pull that their consultant approved.
Are you looking that up, Michael?
Yeah, I have it here, hold on. There was a correct administrative errors identified in the original response action outcome issued on February 8th. This correspondence, so it's just a correction to the February 8th.
Okay, yeah, I don't know what they sent on February 8th, but okay.
I think that's what it was. I'll check.
Okay.
But it was nothing out of the norm from reading the
It's closing of underground tanks.
There you go.
Thank you.
Seeing no one, I move to close the citizens' hearing.
Second?
Motion second, any discussion? Vote?
Mr. DeQuilla?
Yes.
Mr. D'Elia?
Yes.
Mr. Fasher?
Yes.
Mrs. Kingsley?
Yes.
Mr. Pastore?
Yes.
Mr. Perrone?
Yes.
Kingsley.
Okay, whereas the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-1, expressly provide that a public body may move into executive session and exclude that public from the portion of a meeting at which the public body discusses any of the 9 areas set forth in NJSA 10:4-12B. And whereas the Township Council of the Township of Berkeley Heights has determined it necessary to move into executive session to discuss the following subjects, all of which are included in the aforesaid exceptions. 1, attorney-client privilege, litigation, affordable housing. Now therefore be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Berkeley Heights that it does hereby move into executive session pursuant to NJSA 10:4-12B to discuss the aforesaid matters. And it is further resolved that the aforesaid discussions shall be made public either at the public meeting following said executive session or at such time as any litigated or personnel matters are concluded, or upon conclusion of any negotiations or related discussions, or as otherwise specified. It is further resolved that the resolutions shall take effect pursuant to law, 4th of October, 2016.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion? Vote?
Mr. Toquilla?
Yes.
Mr. D'Elia?
Yes.
Mr. Fasher?
Yes.
Mr. Kingsley?
Yes.
Mr. Pastor?
Yes.
Mr. Perrone?
Yes.
Well, good evening. We will be back to adjourn only. Thank you.